In a moment of political division, partisanship, and inaction on the national level, it's easy to feel powerless. But to anyone who feels discouraged or invisible or thinks that things are destined to be this way forever, think back to last spring and remind yourself of a bright moment in a dark time, when the students who sit in the front row here turned a tragic and horrific episode in their own lives into one of the largest national protests in our country's history, March for Our Lives. What was so inspiring and impressive to me about this movement was not just that they turned out over 1 million people to support actions on gun control, but it was everything else that they did on top of that. First, they offered a specific agenda and policy measures that were not only reasonable, but widely popular. Second, they used their platform to highlight other communities ravaged by gun violence every day. Third, they kept working after the cameras were turned off. They visited 24 states in 60 days. They organized at local levels to introduce gun control policies in municipal governments and school districts. And they helped register thousands of voters across the country. And finally, even after what they'd been through, they weren't afraid of anybody. They kept powerful politicians, members of the media, and people who threw hate their way honest and accountable. Here tonight, representing March for Our Lives, is Ryan Deitsch, David Hogg, Tyah Roberts, and Edna Chavez. And I'm honored to invite them on stage, as well as my mother, to present them with the 2019 New Frontier Award.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Well, my name is Tyah Roberts, and on behalf of everyone on stage and everyone who is a part of March for Our Lives, thank you all so much for this award. We all pull so much inspiration from President Kennedy, and to be given an award in his name is tremendously gratifying and motivating to keep pushing forward. President Kennedy poured his heart and soul and his presidency into this idea of a new frontier. And as we do our work, okay, I thought the mic was off. And as we continue to do our work, everybody is constantly telling us, you know, you're forging a new path. You are doing so well. We've never seen this before. But as I'm in school, I'm learning a lot of things about people who were active before I was even born, and I'm realizing that we have not forged any new frontier. This frontier is old. Activism did not start with us, and it certainly will not end with us. And so, as I was thinking about what I would say during this speech, my question to myself was, well, what's new besides our faces? And I think that what's new is our ideas. And of course, everyone in this room, young or old, regardless of background, has something unique to bring to the table. But what I found that young people do is reject any idea that something that we've already put into place that obviously doesn't work cannot be like put in twice and then expected to work. That's just not how ideas go generally. So I think with our new frontier, what we're doing is making sure that what we're bringing to the table is something you've never seen before. And if we do draw on new ideas, we have to look at it from another angle. And that's where intersectionality stems from. That is what our policy and our legislation that we push stems from. And that is what activism in general stems from. Creating a new frontier solely through the introduction of fresh ideas and fresh faces and people who were previously cut out of the political system and cut out of social activism. And what I think everyone in this room can do is every day when you wake up, decide to be a part of that new frontier. And I don't mean that to say you have to come up with a new idea. By that I mean every day wake up and bring someone else to the table. Say, what privilege do I have and how can I include someone in my platform? That's what we did as soon as the tragedy at our school happened. We realized we had a unique platform and said, I have to bring someone else into this. You know, gun violence doesn't only happen in Parkland. Gun violence happens in Black and brown communities every day. Gun violence, thank you. Gun violence is multifaceted. Gun violence isn't a one-size-fits-all. Gun violence legislation, one policy can't help everyone. We have to have restorative justice programs. We have to have after-school programs to keep our kids off of the streets, as well as things like universal background checks. And that's not something that we can put on the table unless we hear the perspective of someone else, someone new, a new frontier. And so once again, I would like to thank everyone for being here. Your being here is forging a new frontier. And I would suggest to you that the next event that you go to, you bring someone new to forge that new frontier. Activism can only grow, and with our generation, it will continue to grow, and with the generations to come, it can only get larger, it can only get louder, and none of us should stop until we see equity in all communities. And thank you all.